The Secret I Never Meant to Keep. Chapter 1. The Unexpected Reunion. I never thought I'd see him again. It was a crisp September morning in Fairview, a quiet little town where nothing much ever changed. I was walking through the halls of Willow Creek Elementary, attending the first parent-teacher meeting of the year for my 10-year-old son, Lucas. He had just entered 5th grade and was more excited about science experiments than any other kid I'd met. The classroom was filled with the usual buzz of polite chatter. I sat down near the back, not really paying attention, just waiting to hear the same updates about curriculum and behavior expectations. That's when the door opened and he walked in. My breath caught. There he was, Daniel Whitmore, my first love, my last heartbreak, the man I had loved fiercely during my final year of college and hadn't seen in over a decade. He was taller, his shoulders broader, his once boyish face now more angular, touched by lines of age and life. His eyes, though, those soft hazel eyes, still carried the same warmth, the same depth that once made me believe in forever. Daniel scanned the room with a calm smile before beginning his introduction. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Whitmore, your children's homeroom teacher." I froze. A silent storm raged inside me. What were the odds? I hadn't heard his name in years. I thought he moved to another state. I thought I'd buried that part of my life. But fate had other plans. Chapter 2. The Ghost of Us. That night, memories came flooding back. Senior year, the fall of 2012. We were both at Southern Carolina University. He was studying education. I was finishing my degree in psychology. We met in a campus volunteer group. He was always helping kids, always the first to show up and the last to leave. We were inseparable for a year. He called me his constant. I called him home. We made plans, moved to Portland, teach, travel, adopt a dog, maybe 2. But dreams die quietly when pride screams louder. One night we argued. I don't remember all the words, just the feeling, sharp, bitter, final. He thought I applied for an internship overseas behind his back. I thought he didn't trust me enough to listen. We were both too proud, too hurt, too young to fix it. I left. A few weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Chapter 3. Silence and Secrets. I never told him. I convinced myself he wouldn't want to know, that it was better this way, that I didn't want him to feel trapped, that he'd moved on. But the truth was uglier. I was scared. Scared he wouldn't forgive me, scared he wouldn't love me anymore, and even more terrified that he would, and I wouldn't know how to let him back in. I moved back to Fairview, where my parents lived. I raised Lucas alone. I told him his father was someone I loved once, but who couldn't be in our lives. Lucas never asked for more. He was kind like his father, curious, thoughtful, stubborn when he believed in something. He had Daniel's eyes and his exact dimpled grin. But I never said his name, not once. Chapter 4. Unknowingly Close. Weeks passed. Daniel never seemed to recognize me. Maybe I looked different. Maybe he had just closed that door in his mind. I didn't know. But he and Lucas, they connected. Mr. Whitmore became Lucas's favorite teacher. They shared a love for science fiction, soccer, and silly jokes about dinosaurs. Daniel even stayed after class some days, helping Lucas with experiments. I watched from the sidelines, every moment both breaking and mending my heart. Sometimes I thought of telling him. I imagined it, pulling him aside, saying, "You have a son." But the longer I waited, the heavier the secret became. Then Lucas found the letter. Chapter 5. Truth Unfolded. It was an old shoebox buried in the back of my closet. I had forgotten it existed. Inside were photos, letters, and the ultrasound I never had the courage to send. Lucas read it all. He didn't say anything that night. But the next day, he stayed late after school. He walked up to Mr. Whitmore and asked the one question I had feared for 10 years. "Did you ever know someone named Rachel Scott?" Daniel blinked. Then he said softly, "Yes, I did, a long time ago." Lucas tilted his head. "Because that's my mom. And I think you might be my dad." Daniel didn't speak. He came to my door that evening. I opened it and I saw it, the look in his eyes, recognition, hurt, anger. "You kept him from me," he said, his voice barely holding back the storm. I tried to explain, but how do you explain a decade of silence? Chapter 6. The Reckoning. We sat across from each other, the table between us feeling like miles of broken bridges. "I thought you hated me," I whispered. "You left. I was alone." "I never left you. You left me," he said. "You disappeared. I searched for you." That stunned me. I looked you up. Asked around, even went back to campus, he continued, but no one knew where you went. I had changed my number, moved without telling anyone, blocked everything out. He shook his head. I missed his first steps, his first words, a whole decade. Do you know what that feels like? Tears blurred my vision. I've lived with the guilt every day. Then why didn't you ever tell me? Because I was a coward. Chapter 7, Echoes and Endings. Days passed. Lucas sensed the tension. He asked if Mr. Whitmore was mad at me. I said yes, but only because he was hurting too. One Sunday morning, Daniel knocked again. He asked to take Lucas out to the Science Museum. I said yes. Lucas came home glowing. They had bonded instantly. After that, Daniel came around more often, for Lucas. But not for me, not yet. Chapter 8, The Letter I Finally Wrote. I left it on his porch, a letter 10 pages long, everything I should have said years ago, my fears, my regrets, my truth. He didn't respond for 2 days. Then he called. Let's talk, he said. We sat in the park watching Lucas play. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, he admitted, but I know I want to try. For him, maybe. For us too. Epilogue. What love leaves behind. We don't have a perfect ending, but we have a beginning. Lucas knows the truth now. He calls him Dad. And sometimes when we sit together on the porch, Daniel looks at me the way he used to, when we believed the world could be ours. Maybe love doesn't come back the same way it left, but if it's real, it finds a way to return. Closing words. If you've ever carried a secret you were too afraid to tell, know this. Truth may hurt, but silence scars deeper. And if someone once meant the world to you, it's never too late to tell them what you never meant to keep hidden. Sometimes forgiveness starts with just showing up and listening.